And my role with the local search association is running something called the Tech Adoption Index, which is a research and advisory service, essentially, where we measure small business adoption of cloud technology. So all of the conversations we're having today about building this full stack and how you go to market with it and who buys it and who is resistant to it and so on and so forth are things that we are measuring through the Tech Adoption Index. And we actually have an event next week in San Francisco, so I go home for 2 days and I go to San Francisco to run another conference. My life is exciting. But anyway, what I'm going to do is show you a little bit of what we've learned from our most recent wave of data, which was just completed just a few weeks ago. And so I'm going to share a bit of that, and that'll sort of help maybe illustrate some of the conversations we're having for the rest of the event. And then Costantino is going to come up and talk, I give more of a case study view of how this data can be applied, if that makes any sense. So let's get started. So the premise, one of the original premises behind doing the Tech Adoption Index is something we were noticing happen in the marketplace. If you look at some of companies like this, and these are just a few examples, companies that were entering the small business market with one offering, let's say it was e-commerce, or let's say it was websites, or let's say it was with Square point of sale, perhaps domains. And then once that and then sort of the realization that we have this customer relationship, we need to add adjacent services onto that in order to create more stickiness, to create more value, and so on and so forth. And what happens is over time, a Square is offering a booking service, and they're offering small business lending, and Zoho and GoDaddy and others are offering marketing-related services, things that start to encroach upon the turf, as it will, of the companies in this room. So we had noticed this, and we started to ask, well, who's going to really own that customer down the road? Is it going to be Square, or is it going to be a Yellow Pages company that has a few 100,000 customers that they do business with, or is it going to be a bank, or is it going to be someone else, some sort of SaaS company? It's a very sort of amorphous thing to get a handle on, but we thought we should start measuring it to see if we can make some judgments about where the market's heading. So that was our notion. So we see all these companies now that are increasingly offering things like marketing, email marketing, and booking services, and perhaps back office solutions like CRM and perhaps even things in accounting and so on and so forth. So you get this sort of customer acquisition and customer management and then back office services all increasingly integrated. We're starting to see a very different ecosystem for addressing the small business market. So we're seeing these companies do this, and then we're seeing companies like this, many of which have been mentioned already, offering CRM and offering other sorts of services that maybe we're sort of overlapping on what those companies on the previous slide were doing. So we're seeing a much different competitive space than we have in the past. Raises a lot of questions about how to go to market, raises a lot of questions about who's going to own that customer in the future. So what we've done with the Tech Adoption Index, we're simply trying to measure how small businesses are adopting cloud technology, why they're adopting it, why certain ones are not adopting it, and then some questions about which channels they prefer to work with in order to move into the cloud. So that's essentially what we're trying to measure. And I'm just going to share with you a few data points from our most recent research. We're actually 3 waves into this. We've tweaked each wave to try to get a better handle on how to ask these questions. But we're starting to get discern some patterns about tech adoption. So what have we learned? First of all, the SMB's shift to the cloud is generational, sort of an intuitive finding, but it's always nice to measure these things and actually confirm them. So just looking at one piece of this, which is the use of smartphones to run your business. Now, this data differs a bit from what VCTA showed earlier. Different samples always produce different results. We have 1,000 and change, 1,011 respondents. Everything from sole operators through to businesses up to 500 employees. We have it spread across, I believe, 7 different verticals, and we have firmographic cuts by age of business, business size, age of business decision maker, and a few other things. And what we did, so we looked at all small businesses 41% answered the question yes. So are you using smartphone apps to run your business? Very simple question. When you look at decision makers age 18 to 34, it's almost 60%. Ages 55 plus, it's only a quarter. So this is just one illustration of what we're seeing, which is a generational shift to the cloud. What does that mean in practical terms? It means that if someone is starting a business today, chances are they're starting the business with what apps do I acquire to run my business? It's a clean slate. I'm going to run it out of the cloud. I'm going to run it off my phone. That's a natural default setting for somebody starting a business today. For somebody who has an established business, you have to sort of convince them that making the transition from pen and paper or desktop software to the cloud makes sense for their business. That's happening, but it's happening at a much lower rate than younger people either starting a business or taking over a business. So so that sort of illustrates the generational component. And one fact, I don't know how it is in every country, but in the United States, roughly 10,000 people turn 65 every day. That doesn't mean they retire. Most haven't saved enough money, so they probably aren't retiring, but that's retirement age. So that indicates that there's a transition of business decision-making that's happening. And as that occurs, this difference will start to be very significant. So SMEs are adopting cloud tools to save time. They're not, we ask why, so we ask this question. You said you moved some of your operations to the cloud. We asked them, based on different aspects of their business, accounting, point of sale, marketing, CRM, supply chain, and HR and payroll. Those are the aspects of the business that we measure. And we ask each of them, which of these are you using cloud apps to run versus some old system, whether it's desktop software or an outsourced accountant or pen and paper or what have you. And we asked those who did make the shift, why did you do it? And the reasons, this is an aggregation of responses, but essentially it's half said they did it to save time, only 18% said they did it to save money. So another theme here is that it's a generational shift, and the pain point is time. If you can help me run my business more efficiently, you have solved a problem for me, and therefore I'm listening. So we also, for the first time this year, we've been asking what shifts, what pieces of the business have you moved to the cloud? For the first time this year, we asked, well, now that you've done that, are you happy with the outcome? Did it fulfill on the promise of saving you time or, giving you greater flexibility? Or for those who said it's, whatever reason they went into it, we asked, did it meet those expectations? And 44% performed as we expected. No better, no worse, we're happy. The delighted number is 34%, where it's like, this is working better than I thought it would. And, 22% had a bad experience. So that's, close to 80% positive, I would say that's close to 80% of a positive experience with it. Actually, maybe higher than I thought it would be, because, there is a lot of issues with people getting apps on, having challenging onboarding, or maybe having intentions to use it and never using it. There's a lot of that going on. But what we're seeing in our data is that, in general, this is a good experience. And they want a single source to take them into the cloud. Now, we ask a very simple question. Well, it's not a simple question to ask, but essentially, the way we asked it is, thinking how your company manages the aspects that we measure. Which of the following represents your view? Would you rather have one company, wrap all this up for you, if possible? Would you just rather pick and choose best of breed? We didn't say best of breed, but, I think those who are making this response, my inference is that they feel they're getting best of breed in each if they make individual choices. That's a minority view, and other where they really weren't sure, about 9%. So 65%, that's actually the highest number that we've measured in the 3 waves that we've measured it, where there's a clear demand for, making some sense of this rather than having me buy 10 different apps from 10 different providers. Make it simple for me. Now, whether that's comes through in the execution is another question, but there is expressed demand for it. And they place their trust in text-first brands. So what does this mean? I think we're trying to get a sense of, coming from the LSA, where the constituent members, like ELSMA, are publishers. Does a small business that, is moving its, moving different pieces of the business into the cloud, by buying a mobile app or whatever, going from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks in the cloud, or going from an old-fashioned point-of-sale terminal to a Square terminal, or what have you. And then if they have that relationship with Square, do they have an opportunity to sell them other services versus a publisher who gets in with one service, perhaps a marketing platform? Do they have an opportunity to sell additional services, that are maybe outside of their core business? So it's a little complicated to think about it, but if Square is offering email marketing and Dex is offering CRM, in the small business's mind, who is a more logical partner? So we asked, internet service providers, cloud technology providers, IT solutions, and advertising and marketing services. We had a few other choices in there. I'm just giving you an illustration of some of the plurality choices. There was a tendency to think that somebody had a tech orientation was a better partner to bring the business into the cloud. What we're getting from this is that companies that want to make a transition from selling advertising to selling cloud solutions and SaaS and so on need to do some work on their branding, and they need to do some work on how their brand is perceived. That is what we get from this data. So if you're going to go in full blazes, yellow pages, and now we're selling you SaaS, you have a brand problem in all likelihood. It's a solvable problem in my view, but I think that is a challenge that you face. And that's all I have. That's a taste of it. We have a lot more data. If you'd like to talk about it, feel free.
I'm a little bit tired, but I hope I can sort of shake up the audience. I come from Yellow Pages. I've been in Seat Pagine Gialle. I've done digital agencies. I've done portals. I've done just about anything. And I'm going to present you some sort of an admission of guilt, because we have a problem in our industry. So let's go back to our customer first. Our customers have a specific challenge. Let's take Sophia. Sophia has a pet store, okay? She deals with supplies, with checking accounts, with employees, with a lot of stuff. And Sophia has a goal. Let's never forget this goal. She wants to make more money, and she wants to spend less time in the store. And it applies to Sophia, it applies to Francis the plumber, it applies to any one of us. We want to make more money and spend less time working. So, what is she doing to deal with the struggle? Oh, she's doing a lot of things. Unfortunately, she spends time and money. So, in order to make more money and spend less time, she spends time and money in semi-casual activities that don't necessarily bring results. And by any, just to be sure, she doesn't measure results. And this is our typical customer, isn't it? Let's see what Sophia does. Well, let's build a website. Are we getting results from the website? Not so much. Let's try and do something else. Well, you need Google My Business. Okay, let's build Google My Business. Then let's do a little bit of social. And then, hell, we need advertising, and so let's do AdWords. And let's do other advertising forms. Are results coming? Yeah, probably a little bit. We're getting a little bit of leads. But is that enough? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot Yellow Pages. Let's do a little bit of Yellow Pages, too. It's totally necessary in the local marketplace, right? Are results coming in for Sophia? Not sure. Let's do something else. Direct email campaigns. Okay, so Sophia goes online, opens the PC, creates a campaign, tries and send it. She sends it to a few contacts. No results. What should she do? Well, let's try coupons. And we try coupons. And at the end of the day, results are just there. You know, they're not that great. What's next? Well, flyers. I mean, she's going to do flyers. That's the obvious conclusion. No, there's something that's not going, it's not working here. Her customer relationship process, by the way, what do you think her customer relationship process is in order to manage all those instruments? Where do all those contacts get? Where do they end up? I'll tell you what she does. That's her customer relationship process. At the end of the day, she collects business cards in a drawer. Most of our customers do. I mean, I have a lot of experience in Italy, but I've seen SMBs pretty much, especially small businesses, pretty much around the world. And their customer relationship process is a drawer with business cards. So, what is she missing in order to be more competitive? She's missing us. Guys, that's the problem. The problem is not Sophia. The problem is us, our industry. We're our Yellow Pages, we're our agencies, we're vendors, software vendors. The problem is that there's something we're not doing right for Sophia. Of course, she needs strategy. She needs software. SAAS, as we said. She needs fulfillment services. She needs to practice digital marketing. She needs all these things in order to be successful. But most than anything else, she needs know-how. She needs how to deal with these things. And we are not helping her with know-how. We are not making her smarter at all. Why? Here's my diagnosis. I think that's what I believe. Our industry has substantially created a gap between good products, including Yellow Pages, and on the other hand, demand small businesses. But we have created a gap because of the way we behave. Substantially, what we do is hit and run. We go to the customer, sell something, and by the way, it's always our solution, obviously, which is always better than someone else's solution. But we focus on first sale. We do zero or very little customer nurturing. We are focused on sales. It's like, I hope I don't offend anyone. It's like, pretending to have a long-term relationship while you're having a one-night stand. It's like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Post-sales is where magic happens. And we've all spoken about this, but we've never touched this particular subject. Post-sales is where things happen. Let me be more clear. We said that Sophia needs strategy, software, and services. I say that Sophia needs, first of all, after-sales advisory. Because if she gets after-sale advisory, she's going to have more time to think about strategy. She's going to have more time to select software and more time to play around with the tools she has so that she can learn them. Here's my experience. I was the chief marketing officer of Axelero, a company, an Italian company, a very fast startup. And last year, we included in 80% of our packages consulting services. So it's outbound consulting services, okay? If you buy a package, by the way, is a website plus advertising plus digital presence, you name it. You get phone calls from us proactively, outbound, at least 3, up to 12, and then you can buy again. Well, we ran about a 6-month trial. We created a specialized marketing team, young guys with listening skills, because they need to empathize with the customer. They need to understand what the real customer problems are. They need to have business sense, and most of all, common sense, and digital marketing know-how. We measured everything. Literally, every single phone call was discussed, debriefed, so that we could understand if we were taking the right decision, making the right decisions, helping the customer do the right thing, helping the customer create a coupon, select a customer list from a CRM, send it, see what happens after, see if we can change things, and measure results. And results, by the way, are sales. So you need to do this with the customer. Sophia's not going to do this alone. She can't, at least at the beginning. So the point is to make her smarter. So we onboarded 400 customers in this experience. 250 of them went over the 3rd phone call. So we were able to get 250 over the 3rd phone call. And guess what? 33, I realize it's a small number, but we're talking about 13% of them bought new products, new services, new tools, new software, if you want. But the cool thing is that this buying process was natural. We didn't sell them anything. They wanted to buy stuff. That's the big difference. And guess what? They wanted to buy, first of all, more consulting services because they found them useful. They found useful to have someone that takes Sophia by the hand and walks her through using these tools, because at the end of the day, if Sophia doesn't use that stuff, she's lost. We are going to lose her. She's going to probably move on to the next solution, which is not going to bring results. So, to wrap it up, I've decided that in my next job, I want to work on making my customers smarter. I'm not afraid of having smart customers. Actually, I think that's what we need. We need smarter customers. And I'm going to do it by proposing software, do-it-for-me services, advisory, process orchestration technology, which is needed, and some AI-based marketing automation. Thank you. That's my next venture, and By the way, I'm looking for investors, so if you want to talk to me, I'm here. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks. We can take a couple questions if anyone has one. So the Axelero experiment or process you described, those initial sales, they were paying for something, right? Those were not freemium, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Normal customers, like customers in our industry, so they would buy typically a website with the usual bells and whistles. Even basic websites. We're talking about one-pagers with a sprinkle of CRM, maybe some AdWord campaigns to boost initial traffic, but they were getting phone calls.
What was your ratio of support to sales in terms of headcount?
Support to sales, let's say during that period, if I understand your question, we sold about we started selling in May, and from May until, let's say, March, we sold about 3,000 customers, and we started serving them with the marketing advisory services in October. And so between October and March, we went through 400 customers, more or less.
Okay, but I guess the question was, let's say you have 10 salespeople, do you have 100 service people? Or?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Actually, the model clearly is manual at the beginning because it's a trial, so we had to learn. Those 400 customers were managed by about 12 people.
Okay.
But that's the initial stage, because there's a lot of there's a lot of automation that you do.
That's
There's a
what I
lot
wanted to
of
get at.
learning, right? So if I learn that mostly a small business like a pet store has problems with or has opportunities, let's say, with cross-selling products, I'm going to insist with my customer that she tags very well her CRM so that she sends the right emails to the right potential customers. Another example, if I'm working with a beauty salon, I know that her point of pain is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning because her salon is mostly, let's say it's half empty. So I'm going to try and push her to book new customers on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning. How? Discounts, coupons, right there displayed on the website where users can go and just make reservations.
So everything you're describing starts with people, but is ultimately an automated process.
Totally. It starts with people, and people are essential. Again, Sophia gets to automation once she learns and she plays with the tools.
But she can't start there. Yeah. Understood. Yeah.
That's the principle.
Okay. We have one question.
Hi, Peter.
It relates to the question of trust and credibility of the sales guy. I sat in on a sales call once where the sales guy did a pretty good job of explaining a somewhat complex online and SEO program. And at the end of it all, the customers said, I don't really understand what you're saying, but I trust you, so I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that was a case where you might say selling on emotion or selling, the credibility factor was decisive in that guy buying. Now, SMEs are never really going to be smarter, however much we try and educate them. But I agree with your comment that credibility and trust is key, but how far can trust and credibility be a target as opposed to trying to get a customer to really understand?
So it's a great question, Peter. So I have two answers. The first answer is that it's really tough to get salespeople smarter too. And we spend a ton of money training them, but we don't get there because salespeople need to sell. They can get a little bit smarter, but not by much. On the other hand, I hope there are no salespeople here.
There's a room full of them,
literally,
right?
no offense to salespeople. No, the flip side of the coin is that what you get out of this continued relationship is trust. Because instead of the touch and go of the salesperson, who, by the way, the salesperson is never going to go back after 15 days and then again after 15 days and work with a customer because he needs to sell. He cannot nurture. But it's with nurturing, by calling, just let me give you an example. Christmas phone calls. Our customers, they were contacted in October. Well, guess what? At Christmas, they were calling their advisor. Calling them, by the way, name, not meaning personal relationship. Like, hey, Peter, Merry Christmas. It's like that. So the magic that happens there is the building of a human-to-human relationship that, by the way, that's what I suspect, ends up with terrific retention effects between the company and the customer.
Just a quick follow-up on that. Several years ago, our friends Eniro in Sweden, they had several CEOs around that time. But one of those CEOs made a decision to say all future salespeople must have a degree in digital media, right?
And
The sales director resigned because he didn't agree with it. But the CEO made that decision. So suddenly there are people with PhDs in digital technology talking to a plumber.
I can only imagine how that went.
And of course it didn't work, and neither did the CEO. He left shortly afterwards. But that's just, I think it summarizes the issue, that if you've got a guy who fully understands digital media, is he still able to talk to the plumber who understands zero?
yeah, the great effort, thank you for the question, because the great effort has been in training the team, the advisory team, in small, let's say, common sense questions. Their key skills need to be listening, making a few proposals, helping a little bit, and then looking at results. They don't need to be super experts in digital marketing. Let me say, we were lucky because we selected a team that used to work for Google. They were basically providing web agencies in Italy after sales services for Google AdWords. So they were digitally fluent. But the problem is, again, that you need to be at the same level of the customer. You need to wear the customer's shoes in order to talk to the customer. So training of the team is key. In fact, we sat down, I think, go by memory, I think we spent 2.5, 3 weeks of training with phone calls. They were made, like say, trial phone calls made with customers. They respond. Our team member engages them. We close the phone call. We discuss what went right, what went wrong. So there's a lot of work. And then we started scripting phone calls according to different cases. So yes, it takes a long time, and it takes, let me say, there's a lot of common sense that needs to happen in that conversation. Even more important than digital marketing skills.
Right. I think we're going to have to end it there. Thank you, Costantino.
Thank you.
Please join me in thanking him.